Hey guys, welcome to Be Original with Isley Creative,
where we discuss all things marketing. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome to Be Original, the podcast, video blog, all that good stuff. My name is OJ.
And I'm Christian.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to check us out again. We are at the beautiful and amazing Sassy Bee in Kenosha, Wisconsin, hanging out at the bar. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so
It's just water today.
just water this morning. So we're excited to be here. I think, we learn a lot over the course of our everyday business, and learning is part of being an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I really want to stress, and like the biggest thing that I want to touch on is for our listeners and our viewers, is like some of the passion that's behind what we're doing, why we do what we do. So like, if we can just take like two minutes and just talk about why this is important for us, and I think to kind of just give our audience some understanding of why we're even doing this. Mm-hmm. I can speak for myself. I don't want to speak for you, but I think as a brand, as a brand in its entirety, our biggest focus right now is just we're passionate about helping people grow their business. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see it every day. We talk to clients, we talk to potential clients, and the one thing that is continuously on our mind is how can we, there's more than just sales too. Like there's more than just transactional relationships for us and even for our clients. It's more about, okay, what's going to sustain them through long periods of time? What are the things that are going to continue to help them grow? And, what can we offer to them in our experience in the marketplace that is social media and that is content creation to help them get to reach their goals, right?
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, we started as a video production company, and it was something that we knew. We had a recording studio. We were doing things that we were passionate about. We liked to do things that we were already good at, and we were realizing. You and I sat down a couple times and we're like, how can we give more value to our customers, and how can we grow our own business in new and different ways? And I think that very quickly that light came on of, well, social media marketing is the way to market now. It's the top dog, and people are. It's an interesting span of people that are using it and aren't using it, or don't understand it fully. And so we took the next year and a half to learn as much as we possibly could about it, and got around the right people, got around different people to help us, and we started rolling out with that. And that's changed our business completely, because when you sit down, and one of the big things that we do with our customers, our clients, and the people we partner with, we find out, okay, what is it that your business stands for? What is it that you're passionate about? What is it that makes you, Mm-hmm. And for us, it's like, I'm a creative, you're more the business mind, administrative mind. But the thing that we agreed on, and the thing that we come together all the time on, is growing business, seeing dreams come true, seeing things happen. And I think for us, when we realized that our actual passion is to help people grow their businesses, it made this whole transition make sense, made it way easier, made us more passionate about what we do, because we can literally walk into somebody's office and say, this will help grow your business, and we can guarantee that it will help grow your business.
Yeah, I think, one of the very early on conversations that we had, even as a team from Isley, it was, the feedback that we were getting from our clients was, hey, I want to do this and this and this content, and I want to create all this beautiful stuff. And so we set out on this adventure with them to create this beautiful content. And then when the deliverables came, it was always that same question was always, okay, now what do I do with this now?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's a great question. At the time, we were like, well, you can post on Facebook, you can do, there's a whole lot of things that you can do with good content.
Yeah.
But the reality is if there's no return, what's called ROI, or return on ad spend, even ROAS, The reality is that it's going to be harder for those same clients to come back multiple times throughout the year to have to invest into good content. So now we're giving them the ability and the platform to say we can take you from just regular old content. We can actually put some strategy behind it. Like, this is why we're building this content, whether it's campaign based, whether it's a plethora of things. There's several different ways. There's reach. There's a couple of different ways that we can promote your business via social, and all of that looks differently creatively, throughout.
Well, and the returns look different too.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't understand is I feel like the older ways, the more traditional ways of marketing, the returns were always based on, like a general percentage. So if you run a billboard ad, you're probably going to get about 2% return on your investment in that over a year or 6 months or whatever that is. Each thing has a general rating based on the populace, the people that are going to see it,
right,
all of that. And with social and digital marketing in general, the objectives can change, which changes your return expectation. So there's so many different things you can do with it. Yes, you can, the goal is always to increase sales, grow your business, blah, blah, blah. But in the marketing world, you need to do a lot of other things before that actually happens. Mm-hmm. So social media marketing is so important, but it's not the golden ticket. It's not the only thing you can do. You have to start with brand awareness, which you can use social media to do. You have to start with becoming a trusted, reliable resource in your industry, which you can use social media to do. So it's like all of these little steps. It's not as simple as I'm just going to pay for ads on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I know my customer, so I'm going to put in this demographic and I'm going to put $100 a month towards it, and all my sales are going to increase. Like, it's not done that way. So what people need to understand is that the tool is valuable if you know how to use it for what objectives, if that makes sense. So,
absolutely. I think, and I think that's another thing that we but that's another one of the issues that we encounter as we go and we talk to these new clients. I mean, we found so far that a lot of our clients have never even adventured out into advertising or marketing at all. Mm-hmm. So, we have several clients that are, revenues are in the millions, and they have done nothing all up to this point. They've been just word of mouth. So it's really interesting to see from their perspective the impact that a Facebook page and an Instagram page and a LinkedIn account and all these things, how they really impact their bottom line.
Right.
But, one of the things that we talk about too is it's not always about sales either, right? Like you brought up impressions and reach and all of these other things that we talk about, brand recognition, like those are really valuable, and sometimes just as valuable as, as a sales return is, because like if we're getting in front of your client or a potential client as often as possibly can with good content, we're always going to be in the forefront of their mind when the time comes to make that decision to purchase, right? So, and I think that's just as important as a one-click buy now client, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's understanding the sales cycle from different points. When you're putting in your money, your investments into brand awareness and raising your brand in the social media world as a presence in the industry that you're in, that is a longer sales cycle. But it's more fruitful in the end.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing, that putting money into something like even just your initial branding, like readjusting for the kind of people that are going to see it, and then going through that whole process is so important to make sure that your branding's on point, your website's on point, all of these things to support that social media, because when you start putting it out there, people are going to recognize it, people are going to start to see it, your audience is going to grow. That process takes time. You don't have an immediate return on that. A lot of times it's, it can be months and months and months of investment before you start to see anything, because then you're going to have to shift gears, especially if your budget's limited. You can only really focus on one thing at a time, and would start with the brand awareness, and then after you've reached your objectives in that world, then you would start to push sales type ads. You're trying to sell product or find new clients or whatever, but you've already done the step of laying the foundation of your brand awareness. So, and the amazing thing is that normally these things would be done through TV commercials, magazines, newspaper ads, all sorts of, PR stuff,
Right.
which you can still do, and it's good support. But social media has become the tool that you can use to go through the whole funnel, the whole sales funnel, the whole sales cycle, and meet every potential client where they're at.
Sure. So when you talk about, just so that people understand the sales funnel process, right? Like we're talking about taking them from initial curiosity all the way to a point of purchase. So, and every industry looks different. Like perfect example is our industry. Like it's really hard to market on social media for a marketing company.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't have the luxury of saying, hey, we have a product, go buy it.
Right.
It's something that is
It's a service business.
It's a service-based
B2B.
business. And it's RFP-based even. Like there are a lot of different ways that you can look at it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about even in the past is even doing stuff like, and we've never done this, and I'm totally just spitballing here, but like even stuff like we talked a couple weeks back about like free marketing analysis, being able to come into companies like what we've been dealing with and saying, hey, listen, this is what we think the best course of action is for your brand.
Yeah.
These are the things that we think you should be considering when going to market, whether that's in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. These are the things that I would look at as far as your brand is concerned, as far as your culture online is concerned. All of these.
Yeah, our pitches kind of become consultations.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to our goal and our focus as a business, that we care about people. So it doesn't matter if they hire us in the end, because we've done our job in helping them. We had the opportunity to sit down with somebody and we said, here, like, this is what we would do if we were managing your marketing. And here's the suggestions. Here's it laid out. Here's a macro view of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you can take this and run with it, or you can hire us to do it. But this is what you need as a company to grow. And I think it's awesome.
And believe me, we're not, Christian and I don't, the intention isn't for this podcast is to sell business. Like the entire premise of this is we sat down one day and we said we want to bring value to our audience in some shape or form. So even if it's a matter of us coming in and offering the suggestions that we see on a regular basis and you taking those and pouring yourself into learning them, then that's a benefit to us. We want to be able to help you.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is anybody can do what we're doing.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing, is that anybody can do it. Not everybody has the time to do it.
Yep.
And the time to put in it, to learn it.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. It's just like anything else. Like, you don't know how to cut your own hair, you go to a barbershop.
I don't go to a
You want a
barbershop.
fresh fade.
I do want a fresh fade. I love fresh fades.
But yeah, but the idea is the same thing with a mechanic. If you don't have the time to learn how to fix your car, even though you could,
oh my God,
maybe you can't. But
cars are a horrible example.
But
I've had the worst luck with them.
It's just things like that. There's mechanics out there that spent the time and learned and training, and you don't necessarily have a week to go without your car to figure out how to put new brakes on it.
Yeah, or you have some idiot that hits you in the morning.
Oh gosh.
It's yes.
So the whole point is that we're here if you need us, but the whole, aside from that, this whole project, this whole thing that we're doing is the same thing of how we've kind of transitioned our pitches into consultations. Here's what we've learned. Here's what we think would be best. But marketing is not a science to a point where we know exactly what's going to work for every business.
Yeah.
No agency does, and they're lying if they tell you that. Because there's general practices, there's general things that work, but you don't know. Every business's market is different, and you have to learn that market and learn how to connect with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is that what we're trying to do is just connect with people that are trying to grow their businesses, connect with other agencies, connect with creatives, because those are the things we're passionate about, and we're putting in the time to learn it. So let's share it. And so that's the kicker right there, is that we're learning, and we have learned that social media marketing is like the best tool you can use right now to grow your business with any size budget.
Yeah, I think that's key too. Like, I think the important thing is that the cost that's involved with even just getting started in a social media campaign. Obviously you bring in an agency like us, different ball game. But you can start, as your, small mom and pop shop can start doing something with minimal budget.
Yeah, and doing something's better than doing nothing.
Right, and see some kind of impact on your bottom line.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. So all of that to say, we literally started the podcast with what we're passionate about. We actually covered just about every part of the topic that we were going to talk about today, which I think is cool.
I mean, there's a few more things we can touch on, but the whole point is the importance, and we'll dive into each of these things a little more, like marketing budgets. I just got a marketing budget. What do I do with it? Or it's not big, it's small. Mm-hmm. Let's go. What do I? What's the best use of my budget? We'll get into that in another podcast, but just the general ideas. And I know we covered some of this on the first podcast, but I mean, even like down to the conversion rates. Conversion rates have been measured 100% higher than any other marketing that you can do. So that is awesome. We've seen it too. We've seen a lot of different things where click-through rates are happening, people are watching videos, and like that stuff's important, especially depending on your objectives. Those conversion rates, I mean, that's what you're looking for when you're trying to make sure that you're spending your marketing money wisely.
Yeah. So historically, we can use billboards as an example. Billboards are based on the amount of traffic that goes through any intersection at any given span of time. Usually it's a day or a month, right? So if you're going to see 50,000 cars, your conversion rate is based on those 50,000 cars. Mm-hmm. If you're spending $3,500 a month to have a billboard up at the busiest intersection, I mean, some of these billboard costs are astronomical. You talk, New York City, in Times Square. I mean, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about visibility. Like, what is the visibility there?
Right.
But
just because that's what's, you're comparing, when you compare that to social media, you have a billboard in Times Square, you're connecting with the masses, kind of. A lot of people see it, potentially.
Yeah.
But there's so much other stuff going on there. But at the same time, it's, of that million people that'll probably see it, how many of them actually care about that product?
Right.
How many of them would actually buy, and where are they at? There's no way to tell any of that.
Okay, so this is a good question to ask, because I think this is important for a lot of people. Like, when we talk about why social media is an important piece of your marketing, at least for me, like, I don't think that billboards are a bad investment for every client. I think there are some clients where it makes sense. You talk about big brands, big logos that are making, where it doesn't necessarily matter. A perfect example would be like, Budweiser, for instance. Budweiser does commercials with big old horses in it. Like, what does that have to do with beer? It really doesn't have anything to do with beer, but they don't have to sell beer from their commercials. They have to sell the experience, or they have to sell the culture, or the feeling, right?
Because they've already built their brand.
Right. So I think in those circumstances, it's absolutely, if you have the money to spend on it, just like, I think Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it all the time, where he talks, if you're going to pay to be on TV, then save your money and pay to be during the Super Bowl, because that's when the ads are going to count, right? If you can afford that.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford that. So we're looking at micro budgets at this point, and we're talking, $1,000 to $20,000 a month in investment on just ad buys. You're going to spend your money way better for you in a strategic and custom and optimized demographic through social media.
Yeah, and doing it right and doing it focused. Like, we're content focused,
right,
as a company, because we know how important it is. But again, to your point, like, Budweiser has horses. They can do that because their brand is out there. And not saying that not every brand can do that and new brands can't do that. You can do attention grabbing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But social media should be the avenue that you're doing it in. And it should be focused on what's most effective on social media as you're trying to grow a brand that doesn't have a lot of awareness.
Just based on pure dollars and
Yeah.
cents, right? Like, I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah,
And we're
I
not
mean-
saying that any other avenue is a bad investment. What we're saying is, at least what I am interpreting us saying, is that with social media, the dollars and cents of it are that you're spending less money to get in front of the most important clients.
Yes,
The ones
which
that are going
increases your chances of return.
right. So your returns on ad spends are much higher,
Yeah.
right? Or at least that's the goal.
Yep.
And the other thing is too is I mean, you know, it's nothing that we can guarantee either.
Right.
You know, like it's always evolving. We talk about this with our clients. It's a human organism.
Yeah.
This Facebook
and you have
thing.
ups and downs. You have ups and downs. I mean, Facebook. I just was listening to a podcast where they said Facebook is actually down 5% in America of users. So it's basically decreased its growth since 2015. It's back. It
Yeah.
went backwards because of all the stuff that's gone on and people have talked about. And
Yep.
it's gotten blown up into this huge situation that's causing people to fear, you know, their privacy and all sorts of stuff. So there's going to be ups and downs. Obviously, every time something happens in the world with some sort of company, they make adjustments. If something happened, you make adjustments. It's the same thing with your company. If we're starting a marketing process or a campaign and it's not quite working the way we want it, we make adjustments.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing that Facebook's doing to increase privacy right now. Like, it's all of that. It's the security of it. It's knowing that you need to keep changing, and that speaks to doing it yourself and having somebody else do it as well. Because if you're doing it yourself, make sure that you are keeping on top of what's changing,
Yeah.
so you can make adjustments. Make sure that you're setting attainable goals with what you want to see happen with it, so you can make adjustments if you're not meeting that.
And
And
it's
if you don't have the time to do that, that's when you bring in
Right. And it's important when we talk about attainable goals, it's important for you to actually understand what those goals really are. You know, like you can't set a goal to make $100,000 on $1,000 spent a month. It's just the numbers don't make sense unless you have a product that's, you know, $10,000. Then that's different, right?
Yeah.
But then your demographic has shrunk, you know, immensely.
Yeah.
You said something that was interesting to me, and I like the Facebook being down 5% back to what it was in 2015. You said is interesting because I mean we talk about this a lot, and a lot of guys and a lot of gurus and a lot of marketing like big guys are talking about how vital it is for us, especially, but also for small businesses, to make sure that you're staying on top of what are the new trending apps, what are the new trending social social companies that are coming out there. You know, like Snapchat is older now, but it's starting to come back again. You know, stuff like that. I mean, who would have thought that buying a filter for a geo circle of people or location has any benefit to your company? Well, you know, the reality is that when you put on, you know, a big festival and you've got your own set of Snapchat filters, people are recognizing what your brand is because they're seeing it every time they're
bringing value back to it.
Yep.
You know, and
it's recognition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key.
well, it's recognition and demographic because, you know, Facebook, the prominent. This was also in this podcast that I was listening to, but it was a study done in America, and the prominent user on Facebook is from 35 to 60 or 55, and for a lot of companies, those are going to be the people that want to go after. But then there's a lot of companies that want to go after, you know, younger people, college age, teenagers, things like that with their products. And Facebook might not be the best avenue for that. Maybe that's Instagram, you know, or it's Snapchat or whatever. So these are the things to stay on top of and learn and constantly paying attention to.
Yeah, constantly being informed, and I mean that's really what. And this all goes back to even just what you brought up several times now. Is it's not about hiring Isley. It's about informing you and helping you understand the complexity of everything that is social media and using it in your marketing strategy, and knowing that there are certain things and, you know, certain learning tools that you can have. Like I just had a call with a Facebook rep 2 days ago, and one of the things that they talked to me about was, Facebook Blueprint. Yeah, like that's another great tool. Like if you
it's
have the
free.
time, it's free
Yeah.
learning. You can go on there and build campaigns. And one of the things I wanted to bring up was when we were really early on starting this whole thing, we were building a campaign for a company, and I ended up doing it and building this demographic. But what I didn't know was you can't use certain wording to certain demographics. And they'll shut you down. I mean,
Yeah.
literally in a matter of 10 minutes, they shut down the entire ad campaign.
I remember that. That's when you were trying to build a campaign, and I was studying a Facebook Blueprint and getting all these certifications.
So yeah, it's like don't do that. I mean, it's a learning curve.
I'm like,
right?
OJ, I don't think you could put that in there.
So yeah, just know that. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
real thing. It's
Yeah, I mean, you don't want your stuff getting kicked back to you like this was not approved, and it happens a lot because they are very strict about what
Yeah.
you can put money behind.
Yep.
So it's all of that. There's a lot of little details, but it's super effective in every way.
yeah.
Just to be in and be a part of. And I know people dabble in it, but be consistent with it. If you can just set yourself some goals, and it doesn't have to be crazy, but consistent.
Yeah.
You don't have to put, don't have to do, your 3 times a day posts and then run $20,000 in ads right away. You can start with posting a couple times a week and running $500 worth of ads for the month, and you'll see the visibility that you're gaining, and I think that's important. Test it, test it out, try different things. That's what we've done with our own business, and we've seen what works, what doesn't work for us, and we're still figuring it out. I mean, it's like we said, it's constantly changing. We're seeing what works.
Yeah. That's great. Well, it was a really good talk today.
Yeah.
Do we have anything to recap, kind of bullet point for them? I
Yeah.
feel like so I feel like there's obviously a couple things, right? Like if you're going to do this and attempt this on your own, make sure that you're doing the research and you're learning as much as possible, absorbing tons, regardless of whether or not social media. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you should be doing that anyways. You should be reading a book, as often as possible. And, I'm the worst with that. Like I can't read for nobody's business. So I listen to books.
Or podcasts.
Or podcasts.
There's plenty of stuff out there.
Absolutely. We're not the only ones.
Yeah.
There's probably 1 million of us out there that's doing stuff.
And you'll hear differing opinions. You'll hear
yeah.
it, but you'll find the consistencies throughout the whole thing and to latch onto, and that's important.
And the one thing that is always going to remain true, at least for us, is our authenticity. Like we're going to be as honest and authentic as possible when it comes to who we are as a company and what our best business practices are and things like that. Like it's super important for us to make sure that our clients know that, our potential clients, and even the listeners and viewers of this podcast. What else did we bullet point for them today?
Just knowing that you have increased chances of ROI, you have increased chances of brand awareness, you have increased chances of everything you're trying to accomplish in marketing if you do it through social media. And using what you've learned, you'll learn what platforms to use, and you'll learn what demographics to search, and what you can put together your own loose shell of a campaign and make it happen very easily if you understand what you could do. Your reach is totally different in social media marketing than it is anywhere. So that was a huge thing that we covered, and you can do it at any budget, and you can make it work.
Yeah, I mean I think that's what we talked about today, the biggest part that I am going to take away from it is that budget is not necessarily something that it has to break the bank for you. You can start minimal. And the reason you can do that is because of the platform and how it's built and the demographics and the things that you can build to get in front of the right people is so much more readily available to you.
Yeah.
As opposed to anything traditional like print ads, billboards, TV commercials, things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Sweet. I loved today. I think it was really great. Thanks
Yeah.
for hanging out with me again. We don't get to hang out very often. I mean, somewhat.
Fun enough when we have meetings.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Isaac, thanks for hanging out with us. We always love having you here. Side note: Isaac is actually leaving us.
Bye, Isaac.
He's
We
taking.
need to replace him. So
Yeah, if anybody knows any good videographers and editors, we'd love to hear from you. But anyways, Isaac has got a really cool opportunity to go work at CNN for the summer. So
Yeah.
he took an internship, so we're really excited for him. And yeah, we have an amazing team.
yeah,
It's kind of growing,
yeah.
and it's really
Cass
cool.
is back there,
Cass is
hiding,
behind us,
working on something else for
hiding.
someone else.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, thanks guys for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, all that stuff. But also, give us your feedback. We want to hear from you. I think it's important for us as we start growing our podcast and
Yeah.
we start building this. Like, we want to hear your feedback. Questions, positive and negative.
Yeah, things
Christian
that you
will respond
disagree
to all
with.
the negatives.
Yeah.
Because I don't respond well to negative. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. This is more the opposite.
No, I think hearing from you guys is really important. So
Yeah.
whatever you do, whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching it on, leave us some feedback, and we'd love to hear, get back to you, and all that good stuff. So thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Be original. Have a great day.
Thanks again for checking out Be Original with Isley Creative.
You're the reason we do this, so be on the lookout for more tips and advice on your marketing strategy.